Ugh. What do I do with my hands? Hey guys, Ryan here. I wanted to try something different. I wanted to have a little conversation with you about RC related stuff. TLR versus associated. Let me preface this whole entire thing. This is my personal opinion. I don't claim to say this as fact. I'm not trying to say anything bad about anyone. I'm just gonna give you quick point of references where this is all coming from, and then I'd like to hear your guys' take on it. Maybe I'm totally out of line on this and I'm missing something. Quick backstory about me. Once upon a time in a land far, far away, I was a little guy. And at the age of, I was like 6 or 7 years old, I had a JRXT. It was my very first RC vehicle. I have had a low-C vehicle my entire life when it comes to off-road racing. Never had I ever driven any of the associated off-road vehicles, buggies, trucks, nothing. I was always TLR or low-C back then. Until recently. If you watch my previous video, I alluded that I was driving a different two-wheel drive buggy, and that is exactly the case. It's currently a B6D is what I drove over at SS. Why? This is what I want to talk about. Now, some people might think that it's because of, oh, the B6 is way better than the TLR, and I always knew that was the case, or vice versa, right? We can get into the Chevy versus Ford debate all day long, but it's much bigger than that. I just recently did the Super Cup series at spring of this year, and that was the first time back for me racing RC cars in about 9 or close to 10 years. I raced RC cars from a little kid all the way up until I was about 18. And then life got in the way. I had to move out. Stuff's expensive. I couldn't race anymore. I couldn't afford it. So I just got out of the hobby altogether. So I came back and I was like, all right, yeah, let's get back into this. You know, low C, gonna get into that. Now it's TLR. It's like, okay, no big deal. And got their stuff. All the other brands that I used to race before, I got that, except for Novak. RIP Novak. So everything was going great. But the one troubling thing was that I didn't really see any TLR support at all of these major races. There was one factory driver that showed up to some of them, not all of them. I know that there were other bigger races that they had to go to. And I was left with a lot of just questions about setup and things like that I just didn't know. I just didn't know how to figure them out. And so I ended up asking a lot of associated drivers for some tips on car setup and stuff like that. And they were very helpful, and they helped me figure out some of the issues, not all. And it was a great experience. I felt plugged into the RC community, and I thought that it was just beneficial as a whole. It was great. So reason number one why I switched would be just overall support. The system that is set up. Now this goes for, I live in Florida and I'm racing in the East Coast, the Southeast region, and this is where I'm coming from. So it may be totally different out on the West Coast or up north, I don't know, but I'm coming from my personal opinion down here in Florida on the East Coast. A lot of outdoor tracks, very little indoor tracks, me personally. Now this brings me to the second reason why, actual performance factor. The two-wheel drive buggy currently, the issue that I was having was that when I was looking for on-power grip, it just didn't really exist in low bite conditions. Now I've heard this go both ways, that no, the TLR is all about the low bite. B6 is terrible in the low bite. Everyone's opinion may be different, and that's totally cool. Again, speaking to my personal experience and opinion here. I could not get the car to do what I wanted in the low bite conditions for on-power grip. I tried like every factory driver setup for an outdoor track on the Low-C website and a few others. I tweaked with it myself, changing all kinds of things. The shock package, suspension geometry, weight ballast, all kinds of things. and I could just never get it to do what I wanted. Every big race that I went to, I noticed one thing about all the B6s is that they just looked planted. They just, something about them, they didn't look like they were having this squirreliness going on coming out of a corner or going down a straightaway and getting this like butt wobble thing going on. I'm not a super top tier experienced driver, so there may have been something that I completely missed, but it seems to be something a little bit more than just a setup issue. Got the B6. Everything as far as setup is virtually identical to the 2230 that I was driving. From the shock weight, the pistons, the springs, the ride height, you know, the suspension geometry, camber toe, and all that stuff, virtually identical. Completely different car. Felt super planted, did everything that I wanted to, and I'm just very happy overall. Long story short, bring this to a close. Losi, you will always have a place in my heart. TLR, I don't know if you're the same thing. I really hope that you guys continue to pump out products that people love and dominate races in the places that you do well. But I don't think that that is here on the East Coast in all these outdoor tracks. It just doesn't seem to be the case. Now, will I help a TLR driver with a setup? Absolutely. Am I gonna go and preach that Associated is the best thing in the world? No, of course not. I just found something that worked for me, and now I'm just sharing it with you, and I want to hear what you guys have to say. If you've experienced similar things with other brands, it could be anything. What makes you confident on the racetrack? Did you have to change brands? Did you change the setup? Was it your support system, the people that you're plugged into? All those things come into a factor. But in this particular video, TLR versus Associated, I feel like Associated has a much better support system right now. I feel like they do have a better product, at least for my racing needs. And I just don't know about TLR right now. I hope that they can get some stuff sorted out and be fast in the future and competitive, but I just don't think that's right now. Thank you guys for watching. I hope to do more videos like this in the future. That's why I made all this, because I just wanted to have something interesting behind me. RC stuff, because I love RC cars and racing them particularly. And yeah, that's about it for today. We'll see you guys next time.